Well, it's week 2 of the LCS Summer Split with coverage brought to you by Alienware. I'm joined right now by Parth on Saturday to talk about stuff, probably less about the game because you guys lost. Let's just skip over that. Let's talk about some more fun stuff, shall we? So,
What can be more fun than the game?
well, games where you win, but also the video that you guys did this week. I think it was part of TSM Legends, but the part I saw first was the part that was clipped out on Twitter, where
hmm
you guys were all memeing the other teams for benching their players. How did that come about? Because I feel like I have it. That reminds me of old TSM videos where they, everybody would be goofing off and stuff. So how did that idea come about?
Yeah, so that was actually Spica's idea. I think he was, I don't know, talking to the other players, then he came to Andrew, who makes TSM Legends, like, we have to film this. And originally it was Bjergsen who was gonna do like the announcement, but Bjergsen, as per usual, didn't want to do it. So I was kind of roped into
Well,
it.
Bjerg,
So
he's been doing a lot of video content recently, so I can understand why he wanted to
yeah,
do it.
so yeah, you guys can chalk all of that up to Spica. He was written, produced, directed, and acted or starred by Spica
That's
mainly.
incredible. Is there a world where we could get a weekly video from Spica? I now I feel like I really need to talk to him about this
If
stuff more.
maybe if other teams throw against us and we go 3-0 every weekend, we can
Okay.
pump out some content. So
Yeah.
feel free to float that idea by other teams.
Okay. I will. I will. No. How have things been for you? Actually, I think this is the first time I've spoken to you since last year in an interview at least, and
hmm
I don't know what it's like for you now that you're sort of one, not coaching or managing the team day to day. In fact, actually, are you managing the team? I don't know what you've been up to.
Yeah, for sure. So I still run a lot of the operations, but I have some other projects going on. The last year and a half was really tough for everyone, obviously
Yeah.
with COVID, and so I'm not at the studio right now because I am quote not an essential staff member, which in some ways sucks, but in other ways feels good to feel, or it feels good because the entity is like sustaining itself without my
Right.
interference. Um, but no, I think the biggest changes for us was obviously Bjergsen moving on into the coaching role, and so a lot of the like conversations that I need to have with like the coach that we usually have in place or with Andy in terms of how we want to run the team and what we want to do, like structurally that changed because obviously Soren has like his own opinion of how he wants things to run and go, and like he had like a big say in picking out his coaching staff and everything too. So that was a lot less work for me, and even um kind of the weekly updates and conversations. Soren is pretty involved in like the management side, knowing what's going on, and so there's like a very like things are just easier and smoother now. So I have a couple other projects that I'm working on for the academy and amateur side, and some things we're doing not only in NA at the end of this year that we'll announce soon, um, hopefully pending COVID status. So yeah, I'm excited for those things to kind of show themselves at the end of the year.
Nice. Okay, so that I mean that the Bjergsen stuff is what I wanted to ask you about because I
hmm
figured it must be really weird. You would have this hand as long as I've known you very heavily in the team, even in the years where you were like, "I'm not going to coach anymore. I'm ready to stop coaching." You'd inevitably have to return, but even then, I think you'd be involved before then. So I just figured it was probably very different for you. So does that mean it's just the Soren show over there now? Like he's just like get out, Parth. Let me deal with this. Do you guys ever butt heads? Do you disagree with any of the decisions he's making? I'm curious.
I mean, he is basically responsible for all the strategic side of the game, and I'm like making sure that all the non-strategic side is taken care of. So it's an equal partnership where you both have like the things that we have to do, and I never have to kind of cross over or do anything else.
Do you do
And
you
that
ever
that wasn't
say?
necessarily
Go
and that
ahead.
was never necessarily like the case in previous uh rosters in some terms of coaching staff either. It's just a lot clearer now because like Soren just has more of a directional lead on the team, whereas a lot of the coaches we had previously were more collaborative, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I also assume there's just more trust because this is not somebody that's like just entered the organization. You just hired for them for the first time, like and you're kind of like keeping an eye on how things are going. It's like this is a guy that's been around forever.
Yeah, but I mean, he still, I still think that he has the makings of a good coach in terms of like what he brings on the leadership side, and but I think he still has a lot to learn and grow. I mean, I think it's really funny for him to now be facing on the other side where players are like, "This draft was shit," and he's like, "Guys, no, you guys just played badly." So it's funny to see him explain those things. He slowly learned to like edit PowerPoint so he can have morning meetings. So it's just funny to see that transition from like the player who used to like complain how long meetings were or about how drafts went to now being like the coach being like, no, meetings are necessary or we need to go over this.
Yeah. Has it been okay? I mean, even outside of the things that have been going on in the world, and even outside the Bjergsen stuff, it feels like there's been a lot going on at TSM. You guys have the new facility, obviously the big sponsorship deal that just got announced, and then even just the roster is wildly different. You know, so many of the players are new to the team. So has it been overwhelming at all for you as you've been like moving from one year to the next?
Yeah, I mean, any year where Bjergsen steps down from our roster was going to be a strange and wild year. And so we had to work really, really hard last offseason to put together a roster that kind of made sense. And I think at least so far we're happy with the players that we got, and we'll see like how this year ends for us and what we have to pivot. But um, I do think that the vibe is very different than previous years because before we always had like we either had Bjergsen or Double Lift or kind of someone on this roster that was um very like recognized in the community. And I think this is the first time where we've had players that are not necessarily as notable. But they kind of have it's one of those things where can you create a team that's bigger than the sum of its parts? And that's Bjergsen's challenge this year. And we'll see how we progress throughout the summer because the summer is very long.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. Well, other than that, is there anything that you think TSM fans should know about, or anything that's going on? This always ends up on the TSM subreddit, and people are over there just feel like they're always so happy to hear from you guys. So I don't know if you have anything you have to say to them in particular.
Um, I think there's a lot changing in the ecosystem itself with Riot, but not only like esports in general. I think with the FTX partnership specifically, um, we are kind of we're kind of transforming as an organization, and so we're gonna have a lot like we opened the facility last year right as COVID hit, and so we never got to like open up and do a lot of the initiatives we had planned last year. Even this year, we have a lot of things lined up pending COVID ends, and so um, I hope with this partnership and a lot of the things that we've been working on in the back room over the last year, we'll get to see a lot of that in the upcoming months in playoffs, if we make it, and next off season. So the fans hope have a lot to look forward to from the TSM side.
Well, I mean, I'm curious because you mentioned, I know you can't like reveal what some of these things are, but when you say like open up, do you mean like a lot of fan initiatives? Do you mean like content stuff? Like what are these kind of concepts or things that fans should be
Sure.
looking
So
forward to?
I mean, I think we are upgrading in the way we're like looking at and doing content, especially in person. We're going to be. I think we have a lot of different teams, and with the facility, we're going to be able to fly out people and do more content with them. We also have some projects in Asia that we're going to be doing in person. And obviously, it's going to involve some of the fans, but also working in collaboration with other players and teams from not only League of Legends, but other games too. And so, just again, a lot of things that are going to be done in person for the fans in terms of content and interaction. So, stay tuned.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, Parth, for the interview and for chatting with you. Unfortunate loss today, but I'm glad that things are vibing, and I can't wait for the next episode of Spica, the Spica show. It's going to be really
The
good.
speaker show.
Yes.
Yep.
For everyone
Awesome.
else,
Thanks, Travis.
you can check out the rest of my coverage of all things LCS right here on my YouTube channel. Oh my gosh. Summer split. You know what that means? It's summer. And you might be thinking to yourself, time to go outside and enjoy the sun, enjoy the wilderness, go climb a mountain. No, that stuff is dangerous. You know what's safe? Alienware computers and playing games on them, including, by the way, their new X Series line of notebooks, which you can go check out at alienware.com/Travis. There's a link in the description below. Be safe. Play video games. It's It's the way to live. That's how I live. And I'm still alive, so clearly it's working.